Fuite!
Hello! Get ready for the Battle of the Falcons! Star Wars Millennium Falcon versus F-16 Fighting Falcon. One may wonder, how can you compare a fantasy craft with an actual aircraft? Throughout the Star Wars movies, the underlying systems, weapons and ships have been shown enough so one can measure their performance. There are actual books written about such topics, detailing a bunch of stuff about those spaceships. So this video asks, how would a fight within a planet's atmosphere go if Millennium Falcon faced F-16s? How many could it take down? Since F-16s can't fly in outer space, that realm is instant victory for Solo's ship. Also, to be fair, we're not going to let it be piloted by Galaxy's best pilots and gunners. Both sides are assumed to be manned by your average Wookiee-loving pilots. As shown in various films, Millennium Falcon is not that fast within atmosphere. Even when it's in a battle, its speed remains visibly subsonic. F-16 can be faster in that regard, going close to Mach 2 at higher altitudes. In theory, if two sides start the battle low enough and close enough to each other, Millennium Falcon could not outrun the F-16. If the distance is bigger, Millennium Falcon has the option of just going straight up, where F-16 can't follow as it would lose speed and stall. Keep in mind, Star Wars is not a high-tech world. It is a fantasy world, and a lot of its equipment is fairly rudimentary compared to what today's military has. But in its own playground, it all makes sense. Before battle, two sides would have to detect each other. If that happens visually, F-16 would have some edge. It is smaller and thus harder to be noticed. If it comes to sensor range, things get more complicated. While Millennium Falcon does have a dish sometimes referred to as a sensor array, its performance is unknown. What we do know is that it doesn't really rotate in the movies, even in the situations where it would be very beneficial for the ship to be on alert and track its threats. So we conclude that if the dish indeed is a sensor, it is not a dedicated early warning array that is used to detect threats from afar. F-16 also has a forward-looking radar, but it scans the whole area in front of it. Both ships could conceivably turn around to try and detect targets all around them. If Millennium Falcon doesn't feature a proper long-range sensor, then F-16 has the edge. Exact starting positions matter greatly. If they start too far apart, F-16 will simply spend fuel and will have to return to base. There will be no fight. If both sides start just meters away, Falcon's firepower may prove to be overwhelming. Millennium Falcon has two quad guns, so between them a crew of 3 can cover all approaches or concentrate both guns' fire in any direction, except for up and down. The guns themselves are short-ranged. Probable reason for that is because their bolts, which are evidently not laser even though sometimes they are referred to as such, are slow. At distance of 1 kilometer, they would take several seconds to travel. F-16's gun has actually quicker rounds initially, and its rate of fire is much greater. That being said, Falcon's gun rounds are devastating. Seeing just how a few can demolish a TIE fighter, similar result can surely be expected against an F-16. F-16's gun in turn would be met by Falcon's pretty sturdy armored hull. We know it can withstand some blaster bolt hits as well as run into buildings and still fly away. So the gun may actually be the worst of F-16's options. Falcon can also carry missiles, but as seen in the movies, those launchers are reserved for heavy destruction. Both sides have aiming aids for their guns, but the pilot or gunner needs to do most of the work. Computer tells them sort of where to shoot and when to pull the trigger. Millennium Falcon has no other options. To hit the F-16, it needs to get close. Fighting Falcon, however, has long-range missiles to rely upon. Millennium Falcon does have communications jammer and may very well have a radar jammer as well. Sadly, these kinds of details are not available. Still, while Falcon can possibly prevent F-16 from tracking it from afar and launching a long-range attack, the source of jamming could be tracked. While F-16 might need to get close to a dozen kilometers, it is still assured to get the first shot off with its missiles. If starting positions are dozens of kilometers apart, F-16 might have some chance, as AMRAAM missiles can be deadly from a few dozen kilometers. One of Falcon's strong suits is its maneuverability. Though large, in movies it was shown to perform quick turns. Still, Dodging missiles involves tracking them and knowing when to dodge, which gets especially hard against multiple missiles. It is unlikely Falcon would be able to dodge a whole AMRAAM salvo. But Millennium Falcon has one huge advantage. It has force shields. They come in two varieties. One is the so-called ray shield. It is used in Star Wars movies to deflect laser or blaster fire. But they don't stop solid objects, so they're useless against missiles. Luckily for Falcon, it also has the protector force shield against physical objects, such as space debris. It should also prevent against incoming missiles or even gunfire. Problem is, Falcon has only the forward protector shield generator, thus the whole rear half of the ship can be hit, either by direct hit of the missile or by detonation of its warhead somewhere nearby. What does that all mean in the end? A single F-16 would not have it easy. If it is far away, it would use its radar to track the Falcon. Since Millennium Falcon has own sensor and jammer, it's more than plausible it should also be able to sense enemy radar. It would react by going high up to the edge of the atmosphere and either run away or look for the target from above, then swoop down on it. Hyperspace can't really be used for micro jumps within atmosphere, unless you're Han Solo in The Force Awakens. With its forward shields giving good protection against missiles, it will have a decent chance of hitting the F-16 in its first pass. Even if it misses, Millennium Falcon's turning rate edge would deny gun use to F-16 and would allow it to keep firing with its all-moving guns. But F-16 could get to fire some sidewinders first. Using the helmet-mounted sight, it could cue the missiles from high off-bore angles. While maneuverable, Falcon is still not assured to outrun a missile like Sidewinder. A multi-missile salvo should yield a hit. Basically, best defense for the Falcon would be to try and loop as quickly as possible and present its forward shield to the incoming missiles. Best course of action for the F-16 would be to try and flee. With faster acceleration and top speed, it could quickly get out of Millennium Falcon's gun reach. At that point, it would be rinse and repeat. Falcon would go high up to the end of the atmosphere, regain its speed edge, and once more swoop down on the F-16. With its plentiful fuel and unlimited ammo, it could repeat that many times. F-16 has enough missiles for maybe 2 or 3 such encounters. Also, even if some shrapnel from missile detonation goes through, Falcon's armor is likely to contain the damage, so multiple hits are probably needed. Thus, in one-on-one dogfight, chances are Millennium Falcon would come out on top. But the Falcon is a big, expensive craft compared to an F-16. Most F-16s are single-seaters, made for short missions, not interstellar smuggling. Millennium Falcon needs 3 to 4 crew members to function properly in a fight. So how would it fare against 3 to 4 F-16s? While Falcon could jam the comm lines and force F-16s to stick close together in order to coordinate their actions, it could not overcome the sheer number of missiles fired at it. So every time it swoops down on its victims, or if the fight starts so close that Falcon doesn't have time to go vertical, there will be several salvos of missiles coming at it. And while Falcon could present its shielded forward hemisphere at one salvo, the other F-16s would get to fire its missiles at its exposed rear. Dodging a few missiles might be doable, but a dozen coming from different directions? Unlikely. Thus several hits would likely happen. And at that point, it is a matter of how many missiles would detonate near the armored plates, and how many near some crucial, not-so-armored subsystems. With every added F-16 as an enemy, the Falcon is less likely to survive. And with Sidewinder X missiles being fairly hard to dodge even for the Falcon, several hits are likely to cause enough damage that the whole ship gets compromised. Seeing how Millennium Falcon managed against 4 TIE fighters in the movies, one might even say that 4 F-16s might have a better chance. Within atmosphere, the Millennium Falcon should probably not dogfight against such a group of opponents. Thanks for watching. If you liked my video, subscribe to my channel. And if you really like my videos, you can even support my work via Patreon. Also, check out my website for polls, video suggestions, and my store, offering some cool t-shirts, mugs, and other stuff. And remember, Binkov may talk about hypothetical wars, but only real peace can bring us all together.